Olá, hoje no Humor À Primeira Vista converso com um humorista do Sri Lanka, mas com uma ligação muito especial a Portugal. Vidura Bandara Rajapaksa. É uma história singular, já viveu nos Estados Unidos, Malásia, Berlim, mais recentemente fixou-se em Londres, até há pouco tempo era engenheiro de profissão, agora está a full-time na comédia. Já publicou 3 espetáculos a solo de stand-up comedy no YouTube e alguns dos certos que foi partilhando nas redes sociais viralizaram. Um dos mais virais é este beat sobre Portugal.
I talk a lot of shit, but honestly speaking, though, out of all of Sri Lanka's previous owners, you're not special. We've had a few. The UK is my favorite, by far. We had the Dutch before you. We had the Portuguese first. Listen, fuck Portugal. I will never forgive these people. How are you going to practically invent the slave trade and mess with multiple continents for hundreds of years, and in 2022 still be kind of poor? Please explain to me how you fucked this up. This is mad. You nearly conquered half the world and now you're a budget alternative to Spain. Get out. This is... I'm not even mad. I'm embarrassed for you at this point. This is silly. It's not okay. You can't do so much to the world for so long, and all you have to show after all of this time is custard tots? Leave.
Por mero acaso viu Vidura atuar bem no início da carreira, antes sequer deste beat existir. É uma história curiosa que conto no episódio. No início deste ano, em janeiro, o Vidura atuou no Porto pela primeira vez, enquanto preparava o novo espetáculo The Paradise Gothic Tour, que vai apresentar no Casino de Lisboa já no próximo dia 13 de abril. Eu fui até ao Porto assistir ao espetáculo e conversei com o Vidura após a atuação. Não sem antes alguma atribulação, mas fiquem com a conversa, que neste episódio é feita em inglês.
Humor à primeira vista. Com Gustavo Carvalho. Este podcast tem o patrocínio de Vodafone Business. Saiba como a rede 5G pode tornar a sua empresa mais segura, eficiente e flexível. O futuro do seu negócio está em boas mãos. Vodafone Business.
Vidura, thank you so much. Welcome to Humor À Primeira Vista. If you allow me to tell a little secret, we are now recording in Airbnb.
Yes. We were kicked out of the venue unless I paid more venue rental. So.
Because you were just performing in Porto, you are basically doing a few dates to finish the material of your next tour, the Paradise Gothic Tour. Mm-hmm. I want to talk about a lot of stuff, I promise, but I cannot start any other way than mentioning a clip, a viral bit of yours about Portugal. As a Portuguese, I have to say I appreciate when our financial struggles are recognized. So what led you to write that joke specifically?
Let me think. This one was so I've written now on my 4th hour, and this was in the first one. So I don't even clearly remember, but I do think part of the bit is that Sri Lanka used to be colonized by Portugal. It's something growing up that I didn't think about so much, but a lot of Sri Lankans have last names like De Silva, Pereira, Fernando,
okay.
Like a lot. The most common last name in Sri Lanka is De Silva, or
really?
Like one of these.
To this day?
Yeah, to this day.
Okay.
And so it's just sort of there, because I think what happened was when the Portuguese came, there was lots of conversion, and then as a part of that, people changed their last name. So my name is very sort of, I guess you could say, indigenous, so it's Vidura Bandara Rajapaksa, but it's not uncommon where you will get someone with a Sri Lankan, which can mean a lot of things, but let's just say Sri Lankan first name and a Portuguese last name. So a Vidura de Silva or a Salvindo Fernando is one of my close friends, or Utpala Pereira. Okay. And even Colombo is the Portuguese named Colombo.
And it's one of the cities of Sri Lanka.
That's our
right?
capital city.
Capital city, actually. Okay.
And
I thought you had like different cities with one is economic capital, other is the
so our capital pre any colonial activity was, we didn't have a capital per se. Before this, we were a feudal system. So our last big monarchy was in Kandy, which is the center of the country. And then now, I'm not sure if people in Kandy. It's Kandy with Kandy spelled the English way, but with a K.
Okay.
Pronounced the English way, but with a K. It's now the second city, I guess you could say, the second biggest city at least.
Okay.
But Colombo tends to be it's the main capital.
Into everyone that's bad geography, Sri Lanka is an island near India. So what led you to write that bit? It was an history lesson that stuck in your head?
Very often with any bit, it is usually just where it's usually not a funny thing, and then I'll have this thought of like, oh, I could do something with this, and then make it funny, and then it's almost... I have a few journalist friends who, if they have a story, they'll find an angle.
Yeah.
So I feel like very often that I'll have a thing I want to talk about, and then I'll find an angle, and then so this was just the angle that worked, and a lot of it is that and especially at that time where I would just try stuff, and if something worked, I'd keep it. And I do remember when I first tried it, it worked, and it was like one of the bigger performing in the room. It always did very well, and then so it stayed, and I developed it more and just added more beats to it.
Did it always work from the beginning?
Yeah,
like fuck Portugal has an impact, right? Like as the first sentence.
Because it's also, I think it works is very silly in the sense of generally, especially now, Portugal is quite innocent in the world.
Nobody's thinking about Portugal, right?
Similar, like Sri Lanka is also a country that nobody really thinks we're not involved.
We are kind of the Sri Lanka of Europe. That's what you're saying.
And so this already, it would at the very least draw attention. I think even in the joke, when I do the fuck Portugal line, and it opens with those words, it doesn't get a laugh there. I'll do a slight elaboration.
Still be kind of fun. I still know it in my head. That's a good bit. That's when you know it's a good bit. It stays in people's head, I think. The rhythm, that's funny.
No, this also, I try not to depend too much on my rhythm, but I know it helps. And when I do these work in progress shows, the rhythm, like that cadence, is more the sauce on top, where I'll write it, and usually while I'm still writing, I'm very nervous, and on stage I speak very slowly. But when I'm in more earlier stages, it'll just come out of me faster, and it'll be, at least compared to my finished form, for me it feels quite nervous, but for most people it's speaking at a normal speed.
I think in the special that this joke is presented, the Monsoon season, right? People can watch it on YouTube, as well as the other two specials that you have released. It's probably one of the angriest moments, like because you are very chill, I would say, and then all of a sudden, like, fuck Portugal. That creates an impact on I think, on the audience, right? Maybe for the majority of the Portuguese audience, that's the first bit they know. And you actually performed in Portugal in 2023 in Lisbon. I was there. I remember a pretty drunk person basically heckling you, demanding you for you to roast our country. Like, please tell more jokes about Portugal. Do you get that a lot? I know you only have been 3 times performing in Portugal, but that does usually happen?
No, I think that particular man was just particularly drunk. It was, I think, one of these cases of, it was a husband and wife. The wife was more of a, normal appreciator of my stuff, and then she just brought her husband along. And he just had a bit too much to drink, but then it's not so common. But then this I'm always generally aware of, because like to have something on somewhere more legitimate. But for up till now, everything's just been on the internet. So I'm quite sure 99% of people that know anything of my work have seen 1 or 2 clips at the most. And then so I'm sort of aware of this, that everyone is and I feel like every of the previous hours has had, I guess, a certain like recurring themes, but generally, like, say, the fuck Portugal, it's not, it doesn't fully encapsulate everything I do.
Of course.
No, Portugal is fun. Fun place to perform. Just especially Lisbon, I think, has a stand-up sort of, I guess, culture, you could call it,
Yeah.
that's growing.
It's growing a lot.
And you can feel when an audience is used to stand up as a thing to do,
Yeah.
you know? Where I remember when I started in Berlin, in the early days of that, it was when the host would ask, like, oh, has anyone been to a comedy show before? 80% of the room would put their hands up that it was their first time. And then this, I feel like even in Berlin now, that would be much less. It'd be one or two people.
But I was thinking, because of your teams that you talk about on your shows, you have been to a lot of countries, have a lot of experience. So sometimes you talk about Berlin, sometimes you talk about Malaysia, US, France. Sometimes these clips that you are talking about get viral on social media. Like I remember the French are like the Kanye West of countries. Do, like in Portugal, people ask you to please roast us? Did you feel like there was like a consequence of those clips getting viral?
Not too much in particular.
Yeah.
No, I think this I have noticed, where if I have a joke about a place, then very suddenly I will have an audience in that place. And so that has been nice.
You just need to do one joke about every country.
I promise this is not on purpose by any means. France is just very easy to pick on in particular. And usually all of it is related to some personal experience.
Yeah, of course. In that country or with persons of that country. Well, I want to go back. Do you remember what you were doing at the 17th of February 2020?
17th. No, not in particular.
What were you doing at the time in your life? Where were you living?
I think I was... Where was I? I think I was still in Berlin.
Yeah.
Yeah? Was it? Yes.
Probably.
Because I moved to London end of 2020. 17th February. Did I like film a first special?
No.
Maybe? Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember. Because I was visiting Berlin at the time. For a couple of days, and I went to a comedy night on a boat called Laughing Spree. Free entry. You would pay what you want at the exit. Free vodka shots at the beginning. And I saw a bunch of comedians, thinking I would never hear about any of them again. And then I saw the clip about Portugal, and I thought, I know this guy. I have to admit, at the time I thought, do we Europeans really think everybody looks the same? But then I saw your bio, and I saw, no, Vidura lived in Berlin at the time I was there. That's exactly the guy I saw at the Laughing Spree. That's for me, it's an amazing story to see. All of a sudden you got really big. I basically got to know you from social media after that. You were at the beginning of your career back then?
2020. I was maybe 4 years into doing comedy.
4 years, okay.
3 years, 4 years. When did I start? October 23rd. When did I move to Berlin? 2017, I want to say. So 3 years and a bit.
Okay. But you haven't, at the time, you had not released the first special.
No.
Even, so it was really...
That was really like open mic time.
Yeah, open mic, of course.
Building the first hour, and not even...
I don't think you, at the time, performed sitting down.
No, actually, yes, that was still when I was.
I still saw you at the early days when Vidura performed sitting down.
At the beginning of today, I joked
that's like an alternative band when you saw them at the garage.
It feels very wrong to stand up. I mean, I don't like.
But that's an amazing story. And let me just say that a few days after I got back to Portugal, lockdown, COVID-19, and everybody was at home. So that was like the last time I saw stand-up for a little while, that's amazing. At the time, you were also living as a software engineer. I was reading to your essays. You have a site where you write some stuff about your life, stand-up comedy, how it was like to do the Munson season, the first special. I will basically read what you wrote. It was worked out to crowds promised a free entry comedy show with free tacos served beforehand. Many left before the show began. In hindsight, serving during an intermission in the show might have served me better. So basically, this is really open mic stuff. But I hear that sometimes comedians don't like to do free entrance shows because they feel the audiences don't get into the show, don't feel an obligations to pay attention to the comedian. How was it like this time, and how hard it was to get to a place where you felt confident in doing your thing? You find your tone, I would say.
During this time, I mean, the free entry, that's true. Where at the time, even now, I think when people don't pay for something up front, they to some extent don't value it fully. But in those times, no one is coming to see, like, anyone in that scene. A few people had a following of their own, but for the most part, we were all open micers. No one knew or cared about our existence. So when you do open mics or play clubs, the most time you can do is usually 20 minutes. And then, as much as I didn't like the more practical stuff of my life, it helped in sort of mapping a path for myself, where I looked at, how do people make a living doing this? And you could do TV or and I still don't have much interest in this, where I was like, I can be like a musician, and I tour, and to tour I need an hour. So then I would organize my own shows and pay money for free food and free drinks to get people to come. And this, where, as much as I hated my software engineering job, it was necessary, because that money is what I used to get people to come to shows, so I could work out the shows. Only, maybe 2 years ago, stand-up stopped losing me money very actively. I think the year after monsoon season was when I was in the green for the first time at all. Like any, I think, art form, where the reason I never planned to do anything artistic, because I always thought you need money to be able to do, and it's true. Mm-hmm. And so that my job was my trust fund that I worked 9 to 5 for. I am happy it worked out. I quit my software engineering job
recently,
4 months ago.
4 months,
end of September. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's been great. It's been quite amazing.
Everything you wished for?
I was talking with Francesco, the comedian that opened for me tonight. We started in Berlin together. He was there for maybe a year.
Now he lives in Lisbon as the Republic of Comedy.
Yes. Yeah. And he also worked in tech as a manager, and he also quit earlier in November. And we were talking about how, you hear these stories of people work really hard at this thing, and then they get what they wanted, and it isn't what they thought it would be. Where for us, neither of it's exactly what I wanted it to be. Where I get to go, I do my shows, I pay my rent with the money from my shows. Then when I'm not doing my shows, there are just days, say like a Wednesday, where I don't have to do anything, and it's very from working 2 jobs for 10 years, 2 jobs like stand-up being the second job, and there is still the thing of it's not real. Not that, I work hard, but in the context of work that people have to do, it doesn't count. And this just to have a day in the middle of the week where everyone else is working and I'm just in my house, where I think surely this should be illegal. I can't be allowed to do this, but it's so nice. I'm allowed to do this. And this is my first year as a full-time comedian, and I'm enjoying it immensely.
And did you find that you already got better by having more hours to dedicate to comedy? Or at least writing more, having more ideas?
That I was afraid I would get worse to some extent, because when I look at careers of artists I like, the more successful they get worse slowly.
Can you quickly name names?
I'm happy to. Let me think. Will this get me? I think I can do this respectfully. Of say Kevin Hart's first special, Grown Little Man, was amazing. Yeah. And then they just and the second one, I think, Laugh at My Pain, also amazing. And they just haven't been as good.
And then he starts to make jokes about his big house. Yeah. And taking the trash out.
He's still, I find like Kevin Hart very likable still.
Yeah, of course.
I don't know who isn't like Ricky Gervais. I don't find very like, but then also I don't like his style very much and disagree ideologically, etc.
Yeah.
But then no, I was afraid of this maybe it was the grinding really hard that made me good. And I feel it inside me where what you mentioned of I had this angst and this anger, and that's sort of gone. But even last year, the more recent one, Wood Apple Jam, where even in that I wasn't so angry and I made a good piece of work when I wasn't very angry. I'm happy I have that as proof of, okay, I don't need to be
angry
or upset or fighting against something to make good work. And the having more time has helped, where I could try different things. Like I tried for this hour to write everything down word for word. I've never had the time to do that before. And it was a failed experiment. It was a bad idea. Writing everything word for word.
It's a bad experiment?
For me. Not bad experiment. I'm happy I tried it because I know.
So you don't write word for word?
No. I did it. And then when I use that to prep for the show, it's too many words. Like it's all in my head. Where now I went back to what I've always done. Save for tonight, where I have a set list, so it's almost like the names of songs where each like word is 10 minutes, and then I remember the word, and then that'll let me. But that's more like if I'm doing a 10-minute set, that doesn't even matter. That's more. I'm doing a full hour. I need to remember everything and the order.
But on a previous phase, do you write everything every single 10-minute?
It's all written.
In your head? Or written in a paper? Or
at some point, it's all written
Google
down
Docs.
somewhere.
Okay.
This was the first year where I wrote it down in order on one like notebook.
Yeah.
Whereas before, I'll get the idea, I'll keep a note. At some point, I'll come back to it and like flesh it out. I'll try it on stage. And I do like to keep in my notes app now I'm trying to use a notebook more often. It's there to be found, in case I get hit in the head and I forget everything.
Somebody one day wants to take it to a museum or something that.
I hope not.
But the mindset you were describing about the grinding of keeping the software engineering job and doing the comedy at the same time, do you feel like it goes ahead with a bit of what you were saying in the show that I just watched here in Porto? Of the medium class, you need to suffer to gain a little bit in life. Do you think that it's a product of that, basically the situation where you were raised, right?
Yeah, but I think it's multifactorial. I think a part of it is both the situation I was raised in, where it was this upwardly mobile, work really hard, and that's where I even now fight against this. I shouldn't be allowed to be so free. It doesn't feel right. It disagrees with something inside of me. But, I tell myself, you work really hard. You work 2 jobs for 10 years. You can work now. You get one really easy job for however long. And this, I try to make up for it. But even that, like the language I'm using of that, make up for it. But still, where I do before... I wouldn't have that much time to prep for shows, whereas now I make sure the week before a show I'm going over my notes, I'm rewriting them, giving it more time. Also, I think I've been speaking with, so I'm 31, I'm turning 32 this year, of my quote-unquote generation of millennials, where this hustling and grinding was also sort of a part of our generational thing, and it's still there, but now it's in this evil form where I feel like the thing of hustling used to be more innocent, of like, oh, you work really hard and you do what you love and you make a decent living and whereas now it's this optimization behemoth. And that, I think a part of it is also this millennial very innocent hard work thing.
Yeah, this ambition of performance at everything, right? I was listening to an interview you gave for a French channel in YouTube.
The Arte thing.
Basically, you said in that thing, if you ever catch me trying to spread awareness about something, please shoot me. I prefer to be an entertainer. Do you think the audience sees you as a comedian trying to spread awareness?
Because
Of your I would say your life, you have been to a lot of places. You speak in about much subjects as a perspective of an immigrant, because you have lived in so many places. Do you think they don't see the jokes? They see this is a person trying to tell us something about the way we sometimes treat him.
This, I think, it's because of also the situation of who I am and what I am in context to my surroundings.
Yeah.
Whatever comes out of me will be political if I like it or not to some extent.
Yeah.
But I try to avoid, I guess being preachy would be the word. And because it's creatively boring, where I know my audience at this point are very, like similar to me in worldview, so very liberal, very progressive, all of this. So I there are a list of things I can say and they'll clap and it'll be fun and everyone will feel good about themselves. But then this is not fun for me as an artist. I'll try find a line that I can sort of walk where, they think I'm a bad person for a bit, and then this part is hard to verbalize necessarily, but I am aware, and also from that interview, I think my opinion has changed slightly, not fully, but very slightly. I think possibly as a result of getting older, where I think when I was younger, I'm not academically learned in all. A lot of this is just, this is how I feel about a thing. And I think that's a distinction, is I really try to make sure I'm coming from a place, and it's clear that I'm coming from a place of this is how I feel about this, not how I feel you should feel about this at all, but you paid to see me, so here we are. I feel a way about a thing, I make it funny, and that's the craft of the thing. But I'm not necessarily interested in, I don't know, changing people's minds.
But do you think the comedy actually has that power to change something?
Not fully. It does in the same way any art has some, where I don't think a single piece of work really has that power. But, there is the art lives in a world where it interacts with other art, and then where you get enough art that is saying a certain thing, and then it makes the ideas that are expressed in that work more appealing for the people that might see it. And but I do, this is also another thing when I look at other entertainers, when they try to specifically comedians, when they try to be too far into this, I'm trying to tell you how to be a good person. It's less funny. It is always less funny. So that I think when I write something, there's a series of filters it goes through, where the first one is always, do I really feel this thing that I'm saying? And sometimes it's not even I agree with the opinion that I'm saying, but do I feel artistically this is something I want to have in my work? Then it goes through the filter of, does this feel original, in the sense of that also, everything has been said before, but am I saying this in the way that only I can say it? And then the last one, which is a bit egoic, is the way I'm saying it better than anything I've heard before about this thing? At least for me, where there's no point me saying something if someone else, you can go to someone else and hear it better. So I will give my version of what I think, and that if there's stuff I don't talk about, it's usually because I think I'm not doing it justice. Exactly. And comedy is nice that way, of there is objectivity to it, and to some extent this is also this mindset again, but it works for me, of I like to feel that I'm providing a service, I'm useful, where the people came to be entertained,
to make them happy for a bit, or at least seem happy for a bit.
Just like to, I'm the entertainment, and I'm very happy to serve this role, and that is what I see as the main role of my work, and if there's more on top of that, that's very nice. And I also, trust myself as a person in my morality. I think I'm a generally, decent, okay guy.
Yeah.
So then the way I think about the world is out there, and I'm okay with how I think about the world. Then that's also positive collateral damage. But the main thing is I'm trying to show the people a good time and give them their money's worth, because especially now I feel this, like I get to do the thing I want to do. I worked a long time not doing the thing I wanted to do, and I'm aware most of the people in the audience are likely to be paying for their ticket, doing some work they really didn't want to do. So it is the least I can do to like give them what they paid for.
You have a very specific style because you perform sitting down. I don't think I know any comedian that does stand-up comedy sitting down. But it wasn't always like that. So how did you find this specific, I would say, gimmick?
I guess so. Where, honestly, at this point, I can't. Not that I can't. I can if I'm forced. But when I'll do, say, in London, there'll be gigs in like a pub and they just don't have an extra. I'll lean against the wall, or I feel very, I can't put like a hard logic to it. I just know it feels better for me when I sit down. I like it.
You're just tired, man.
Yeah. And I think I started doing it. So what, I've been doing this for 9 years now, maybe at year 3 or 4. I think I just thought, one time I sat down and it felt good, and then I did it again and I was like, okay, this feels nice.
You just stay with it.
And then I just stayed with it, and now it's my thing to some extent.
To some extent.
But I think it suits my general style.
Yeah.
It sort of works. I'm quite vain and I like things to look right. And this, when I direct the recorded versions of my shows, I don't know, I like the way it looks on camera also, and this, everything sort of works about it. So once it started feeling good, I just didn't question it after that. And every now and then I'll check, I'll do a club gig standing up, or I'll start for maybe 30 seconds and it'll I hate this, and I'll ask someone, please bring me a chair. And it's actually very funny sometimes if I do a club out of town or something. It will be almost, the venue staff will treat me like it's a disability in a very sweet way, where I've had someone that works at the venue come up and be like, oh, they told me about you. I have a chair.
They told me about your condition. Yeah. Do you sometimes ask if you don't know a place, or if they don't know your work, do you ask, do you have a chair, guys?
Oh, everyone has a chair. But then there's been times.
Or do you take a chair for your tour?
Do I take
your chair?
Only,
your personal chair?
Only for filming the show.
Oh, okay.
I'll pick a special chair.
Yeah, okay.
And for any other show, I'll use whatever's there.
Just a chair.
Or sometimes I've sat on the edge of the stage. So if the stage is raised, and I'll sit there and I'll ask them to put the spotlight like to that area. That was a long time ago.
You should do a special where you perform doing everything but sitting down. Just trying different stuff. Yeah.
I'm very creature of habit in this way of I will likely never stand up to perform again.
Yeah. That's so funny that you do stand-up comedy that way. But it's also...
Because I don't... Yeah. I've seen when other people do it, they'll sit down at the serious part, when they're they're saying an important thing. That really feels like a gimmick when I see it, but then I'm I do the.
If you do it all the time, that people don't know. They have to pay attention. Yeah, you are from Sri Lanka. You are living in London. Do you sometimes fly back to Sri Lanka to perform comedy? Is there a comedy scene in Sri Lanka?
There is an open mic scene that I only found when I started perform, after sort of stuff happened for me out here, and then I went back and had an audience and did my own shows, and then the people that opened for me, just chatting to them, they told me about the scene there. I think starting there would not have been feasible for me. The audience, and this I'm also speaking from like my specific experience, but generally, a lot of young people don't have a lot of disposable income, and stand up to people over 50 is just, there's a comedian for that audience. I'm not that comedian. So there's that. I think there is something too. Now, I'm a little bit older and I'm more experienced, so I can go back and be me at home, where I think there is something to leaving home.
And do you perform in English?
In Sri Lanka, yeah. But then what I mentioned in the show today, Sri Lanka, especially Colombo, is people will at least understand English across classes generally, with some exceptions. Also, just the dynamics of a developing country economy of if people are going to see entertainment like stand-up, they'll usually be office worker, middle class, this sort of thing. And so those people definitely speak English. But there is actually, the people I know, a bigger scene in Sinhala, which makes sense. Sinhala is the one of the main local languages. Sinhala, Tamil, and then English, I believe, is also one of the official languages of the country. There is also, I don't know if it's different now, but under previous government, quite strict censorship. So I had bits into... Right now, I don't know. There's been a change of government since the last time I went. But what I mentioned of Sri Lanka is very Buddhist. And if you say anything bad about Buddhism, I know of... We haven't met actually, but we've corresponded since this happened. Her partner came to one of my shows and put me in touch with her. First name is definitely Natasha. I think Edri Suri is her last name. Had a clip in Sinhala that went viral on YouTube that was very lightly critical of Buddhism and was arrested and held for, I think, close to a year. And then now she's moved to the UK. And so similar, I mean, I hear about this also from Indian comedians of speaking against the government or
I remember Virdas saying something.
I think it's worse. They're only in the sense of there's so many people to be angry at you. Where Sri Lanka, there's less of us. But there's also this. And when I performed there the last time, at least, should I admit to this on record? Yeah, it's fine. So to do any public performance, you need to submit the full script of your performance to the censor board. So a government censor.
There's a censor board.
And so at that point, I mean, even now, I don't really, I have it written in hand, but not to submit to someone. So I asked ChatGPT to write me 6,000 words of stand-up in whatever. And that I'm generally very against AI at all. And this wasn't actually using it for a piece of work, but just something to give these people. Because also the censor board doesn't like comedy because comedy is anti-authoritarian to some extent. I was told that the censor board doesn't like comedy, so I asked ChatGPT to generate me a one-man show, like a dramatic one-man show about, so this is a piece of my real life. I have a goddaughter who is Filipino. And so a one-man show about a Sri Lankan who becomes a godfather to a Filipino child. And then it generated me Vidura is living in Manila and his best friends, Tito and Georgia, get in a car accident and he becomes the father to their child when they die, and and send this and got it approved. No one comes to check, and so I'm fine. That was incredibly annoying. And
what year was this?
This was last year, February. But wait, actually, was it? No, it was the same government that was in power then. Sri Lanka's got a lot of we've got a lot going on. I feel hopeful currently about the government that's there now, but there's a lot of sort of the current government's main initiative is to get rid of corruption, and they've been in power for 3 years and they're still working on it.
Okay.
But they seem to be, from what I can tell, and this I might be wrong, I haven't, really been there for a while, making an honest effort of it, which is nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Basically, Vidura, you are still, as we are talking, in a testing tour, just finishing, doing the final adjustments of your next full hour. That's called Paradise Gothic. You will be performing in Lisbon on the 13th of April at the Casino de Lisboa. Just let me ask you to tell the story that you told to start the show, because you are doing the booking of the spaces of this testing tour alone. So what happened?
Oh, yes. So for context, this tour that's coming up is really the first tour that I'm doing with professional help. But before, up till now, including these warm-up shows or preview shows, I guess you could say, I email the venue, I do the tickets myself, etc., etc. And today, this venue fit 400 people, but I misread something in some email somewhere down the line and only sold 200 tickets, so it was half full. And so my profit margin was much less than it would have been otherwise. But, you know, this it happens. This is the first time I made this specific mistake, but I've made many other different mistakes in doing this. But I'm also really, because I know people that I guess went straight from open mic to professional, and I'm very happy I had this DIY time because it's also been fun. You know, I feel like very garage band, and there's a part of me that will miss this, but also will be happy to, you know, have a tour manager and all.
When did you realize that the room was only half?
When full? I mean, as soon as I walked in, because I knew I had 200 on sale that were sold out, and I was like, okay, cool. And then I walked into the room, and this venue didn't have that many pictures on their Google Maps, which is usually, you know, me doing it this way is how I tell. And I walked in, I was like, this feels like more than 200. And so I counted the rows, and I was like, oh, this is 400. This is 400 people. So first I processed my financial loss in this case, and then came to terms with my mistake, you know, where, okay, I can let this throw me off, or I can accept this and give the people what they paid for, the people that are here. And there
was a wait list on your website.
Yeah, I know. It's so stupid. People. It's really dumb. It's really, really dumb. But this I have a break from real tour over the summer, so I'll come back to any cities. Maybe like, because I want to come back to Porto in the summer anyway. Yeah. And I might do a show when I do.
It's a financial loss, but you will compensate it on the summer.
It's still
in the summer,
where it is really nice. Where I'm doing these like preview shows mostly to cover my rent until the real tour starts, and that's so nice. Like I just get to, you know, get to do the thing that I've been doing, except I don't have to do the thing I didn't want to do, and also to, you know, visit this. I was speaking to you earlier about. I have given up on trying to really see the cities I'm performing in, but I will just come back later for a proper time to get to know the city.
You should. Vidura, just to finish our conversation, I always ask the guests to choose a bit from other comedians that they really wish they had written or performed. Do you have something in mind?
Yes, there was a recent special, I think it's on Peacock or Disney Plus or somewhere, by Roy Wood Jr. He was on the Daily Show, and then his newer special, he has a bit there. So to summarize, have a troublesome relationship with my father, and so he had a bit about there is a very small window when you can fist fight your dad, and it's okay, and before a certain point you'll get beat up. And after a certain point, you're beating up an old man. This was the general premise. And again, it's one of those it's a little heavy, but then he did it very well.
Yeah, it makes it smooth. Yeah. The Roy Wood Jr. special is called Lonely Flowers.
Yes,
it's on Hulu, so Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, yeah.
You can watch it on Disney Plus. Vidura, thank you so much for doing this, and thank you for inviting me to your Airbnb.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
And see you in April in Lisbon. Muito obrigado ao Vidura. Ele está no Instagram em Vidura Bandara Rajapaksa. O Humor à Primeira Vista em humoraprimeira-vista.podcast. As fotografias do episódio são de Fernando Veludo. A fotografia de capa é de José Fernandes, com design de Tiago Pereira Santos. Um agradecimento especial ao Tiago Filipe pela voz do genérico e ao Rui Mirama pela ajuda. E neste episódio, obrigado também ao Henrique Mota Lourenço. A coordenação é de Joana Beleza e a direção de João Vieira Pereira. Eu sou o Gustavo Carvalho, estou no Instagram e TikTok em Gustavo Carvalho. Quinzenalmente, à sexta-feira, escrevo sobre o que se anda a passar no mundo da comédia na newsletter Humor À Primeira Vista.